Hello students, today of class 10, today we are discussing about the first chapter of class 10, and that is life process. As we know, that what is the difference if I ask a question for you, what do you mean by the difference? The living, non-living and dead. Living, non-living and dead. Living means a live person which have doing some basic general process like nutrition, like respiration, like transportation, like excretion. All these process by which we can differentiate between living and non-living, are collectively known as life process. Right? How can a doctor differentiate or detect or diagnose the same people? He is dead. He comes, put his stethoscope on his heart is not pumping, breathing does not take place, no pulse rate, means all the life process has been stopped. Then doctor declare as if he is dead. The person is dead. That's why the process which are necessary for survival of a living organism are collectively known as life process. For example, nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. Transportation, circulation of blood. Then it is called transportation. Right? Nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. The first life process is nutrition. Then tell me, what is nutrition? In overall local language, that we are eating, sir, we are taking food, and that is called nutrition, right? What I have written, the phenomenon or the process of intake and utilization. What is the use of nutrition that utilized for the survival of us? For intake and utilization of nutrients. Which type of nutrients? We have two nutrients, macro and micro. Macronutrients which we need in large quantity like carbohydrate, protein and fats. And micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, etc. So all nutrients, the phenomenon of intake and utilization of nutrients in the form of food. Nutrients, from where do the nutrients come? In the form of food is called nutrition, right? The phenomenon of intake and utilization of nutrients in the form of food is called nutrition, right? Now, what are the types of nutrition? As we have already studied in previous classes, in class 7 or 8, nutrition is of two types. Autotrophic and heterotrophic. Nutrition is of two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Before starting this chapter, there is another question. Sir, what are the advantages of nutrition? Why it is necessary for us? What are the advantages of nutrition? Then question is, what are the advantages of nutrition? The answer is the nutrition provides raw material for a releasing or liberation of energy for all vital function. All vital function. Releasing or liberation of energy for all vital functions. Which function are known as vital function? Our heart is pumping. Our heart is pumping the blood which moves which moves in our body, which carries nutrients, oxygen, hormones, whatever, any useful and wasteful material, it carries. Only the blood carries, and the carries. How can the blood carries? With the help of heart. The pumping of heart requires. The pumping of heart requires energy. Expansion and relaxation of lungs during respiration, it also requires energy. When we moves, I am speaking with you, I am talking with you, I am moving on the road, I am riding my bicycle. Yeah, you are riding by a bicycle. You need energy for playing. You need energy for jumping. Any activity, a living organism, and that is needs energy, and that is the vital function. All activity, it is called releasing. Second, repair of damaged tissue. If somebody is injured, we have a cut during cutting the vegetables or fruits. Somebody has make operation. Somebody has need operation. If there is a cut, long cut in their body, and doctor stitches this. After a few days, that cut becomes joined together and become a continuous. There is no gap. There is no gap between this cut. How can it possible? They become simplified. They become continuous. There is no gap. There is no gap for the entry of another pathogens from external inside. When we cutting our nails, you cut accidentally. If I cut the corner of the nails, there is a pain, mild pain. We feel. After some days, few days, if this pain has been vanished, how can it possible? That possible, that tissue has been damaged during cut, during operation, during cutting our nails, and that damaged tissue has been healed out. That damaged tissue has been healed out. That healing it requires some raw material. When our building has been damaged, plaster damaged, there are cracks in our walls. What we are doing? We repair that. For repair the cracks, for repair the plaster, we need some raw material like cement, sand, whatever it may be. We need some raw material for patching the plaster, for patching that cracks. Like this, we also need raw material for damaging or cut or healing the tissue. The second property is advantage, repair of damaged tissue. C, growth and development. Growth and development. You can see a newly born baby. You see a newly born baby. What is the size? At a very, very small size. In the due course of in their age, gradually it gains its height and becomes a tall figure. Gain a height and becomes tall figure. When we sow a seed in the ground, there is a very plantlets have been grown out from the soil and becomes gradually it increases its height and heights and becomes big trees. That is growth and development. And that is the growth and development. So like this, when somebody is a very newly born baby, you see a very small size, height, and gradually it increase in height and gain its weight. And this all requires a raw material for increasing the height, because you know we are multicellular organism. Multicellular organism requires number of height is size of this living organism depends upon the number of cells. The number of cells which is present in a newly born baby. If you are for example, a newly born baby has such a number of cells, and a grown up adult requires so much cells. From this to this, from this to this, from movement of this to this, number of cells has been increased so far, and this number of cells requires raw material for division of one cell to two cell, two cell to three, three to four, four to eight, eight to 16, like this. That's why there is an advantage called growth and development. And last one, it improves our immunity. Means it provides or it helps to fight against disease. Immunity means it is a ability of an organism by which it fights against a disease, and that is its immunity. As you know, there is a deficiency disease, vitamin A, night blindness or eye problem, vitamin B, C, D, rickets, vitamin deficiency of iron called anemia. Like this, there are so many deficiency diseases which can be cured, by which we can be cured by the taking a proper nutrition. Then nutrition improves our immunity, by which we can fight against any disease. If our soldiers on the border of our country does not feed by a proper nutrient, how can they fight with the enemies crossing over our border? Their soldiers also requires nutrition in the form of food. Then they get energy, and then they fight from our enemies. Right? These are the some advantage of nutrition. Nutrition provides raw material, releasing of liberation of energy for all vital functions, repair of damaged tissue, growth and development, and it also improves our immunity. Means it helps to fight against disease. They develop an immunity inside our body to fight against disease, and that is the advantage of nutrition. Now, we are discussing next point, a type of nutrition. the type of nutrition. Autotrophic, self-nutrition, and heterotrophic, others. The first of all, autotrophic, those organisms, those mode of nutrition in which the living organism make their own food themselves, like green plants. As we know, green plants make their own food with the help of photosynthesis, and that's why they are called autotroph. The living organism is called autotroph, and the mode of nutrition is called autotrophic mode of nutrition. And for example, all green plants, some bacteria also, right? Autotrophic is again divided into two types: photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. Photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. Photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. Photo means light. Those organisms which make their own food with the help of light is called photoautotrophic. Means photosynthesis. Example, all green plants and some bacteria. Some bacteria which also contains chlorophyll. They make their own food with the help of light, and some all green plants that are, as you know, they make their own food with the help of photosynthesis, and that's why they are called food. That mode of nutrition is called photoautotrophic, and the living organism which make their own food by this mode of nutrition is called photoautotroph. Now, chemoautotrophic, it is known as chemosynthesis. Like photosynthesis, there is a chemosynthesis. As we have already studied in previous classes, in class 9, our environment and natural resource. You know about the nitrogen biogeochemical cycle. In biogeochemical cycle, we have studied about the bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria. Nitrogen fixing bacteria, the bacteria which is responsible for ammonification, the bacteria which is responsible for nitrification. All these type of bacteria uses chemicals to form their food, and that's why the process is known as chemosynthesis. In Discovery Channel, you have seen some dives in big ocean like Atlantic Ocean or Pacific Ocean or big seas. The depth of the sea, the basement of the sea is far 5 or more kilometers away from the top level of the surface, and there is, because of such a depth, there is no light present. No light penetrates that water into such a depth to present whether the plants present at the depth of the sea, basement of the sea. There you have seen there are a lot of plants are present at the base of the sea where there is no light, but the plants survive. How can can they survive? If they survive, they need nutrition. But there is no light, how can they survive? Then they make their own food with the help of some chemicals. And by the process of chemosynthesis, like CO2, chlorine, SO2, CH4, methane, these are some of the chemical which is present at the basement of sea. With the help of these chemicals, these plants or some bacteria who is present at that place make their own food, and that process is known as chemosynthesis, and the mode of nutrition is known as chemoautotrophic, and the living organism is called chemoautotroph. There are some nitrogen fixing bacteria. For example, chemosynthesis. Chemical autotroph, chemosynthesis. They make their own food with the help of these chemicals. That means there is no light. There is no light. There is no photosynthesis. That's why they are called chemosynthesis. Because why it is called chemosynthesis? Because they make their own food with the help of some chemicals. Why they make their own food? Because there is no light that present at that place. And that type of autotroph is known as chemoautotrophic and photoautotrophic. Then autotrophic, the living organism which make their own food by themselves. One, they make their own food with the help of light, that is called photoautotrophic. Another living organism which make their own food with the help of some chemicals when there is no light, and that type of nutrition is known as autotrophic, photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. Now, next is heterotrophic. Next is heterotrophic. Heterotroph, the living organism which cannot make their own food, and they feed upon another living organism directly or indirectly. The living organism which cannot make their own food and feed upon another organism directly or indirectly. Suppose that if somebody feed upon the meat of goat, khasi. What khasi has eaten? They eaten plants, right? Then those animals which feed upon goat means they cannot make their own food like green plants. That's why they are kept in the group of heterotroph. They cannot make their own food by themselves and they feed upon another living organism. That's why they are called heterotroph. On the basis of mode of nutrition, heterotroph is again of three types: parasitic, saprotrophic, and holozoic. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition is again of three types: parasitic, saprotrophic, and holozoic. Parasitic means what? Parasitic means the living organism which feed upon, it is a mode of, they feed upon another living organism without killing him. The mode of nutrition, it is a type. What is, if your question has been asked, what do you mean by parasitic mode of nutrition? what would you like to write? First point, it is a type of heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Second, in this process, a living organism feed upon another living organism. Living organism feed upon another living organism without killing him. Right? What would you like to write in the question? What is parasitic mode of nutrition? First point, it is a type of heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Second, in this process, a living organism feed upon another living organism without killing him. Feed upon another living organism, an organism who feed upon another living organism called host. Like you feed mosquito in the evening. There are a lot of mosquitoes which feed upon another living organism. Which feed upon another living organism. So we are treated as a host for mosquito. The mosquito, what is mosquito? It is a parasite. Mosquito is a parasite, but it is from external. That's why it is called ectoparasite. An organism we feed upon another living organism called a host is called parasite. And the mode of nutrition is called parasitic nutrition. The mode of nutrition in which an organism feed upon another living organism called host without killing him. Without killing him is called parasite. And the mode of nutrition is known as parasitic. Right? Right? An organism who feed upon another living organism called host without killing him is called parasite, and the mode of nutrition is called parasitic. And it is of two types, ectoparasite and endoparasite. Ectoparasite, like mosquito, like bedbug, like leech. These are some ectoparasite, like leech. Ecto, yani external parasite. For example, leech, bedbug, mosquito. These are some parasites which feed upon externally from their host. Right? And endoparasite, they present inside the body of host. Endoparasite, they present inside the body of host, like worms and malaria. Worms or malaria. These are some endoparasites which present inside the body of host and feed upon that. Right? Ectoparasite and endoparasite. Ecto means external parasite. A mosquito sits on the skin of our skin and the feed upon with the blood our feed on depend upon the feeding on our blood. That's why they are called ectoparasite. Bedbug, khatmal is also feeding from our blood. Leech also feeding our blood from blood. Leech also feeding off from our blood. They are externally present on our body. That's why they are called ectoparasite. But worms, if you have already studied in class 9 in diversity, there is a SK helminthes, round worm, flat worm. We have already well known of this terminology. Round worm, Escalmenthes, Ascaris libellicoides, Latyhelminthes, Kruka, the animal they present on inside the body of the host, and like liver fluid, they are feed upon, they are present inside the body of host and feed upon that living organism as host, right? And these are parasitic mode of nutrition. Next is saprotrophic. Next is saprotrophic. Saprotrophic or decomposers. For example, fungi and some bacteria also. Saprotrophic means the living organism feed upon dead and decaying matters. Decaying matters, dead and decaying matters. You see mushrooms. You see in market there are these days. Mushroom is one of the most palatable food present in the market. What is mushroom? That is the example of edible fungi. From where it grows? It grows on the surface of dead and decaying matters like dung of cow and bacteria also. They are called decomposers. They decompose the dead and decaying matters into its original constituent. That's why called decomposers, and the mode of nutrition is called saprotrophic. Example, fungi and bacteria. What is saprotrophic? The mode of nutrition in which living organisms feed upon dead and decaying matters are called saprotrophic mode of nutrition. And the animals are, and the living organisms are, the living organisms are called saprotroph, and it is also known as decomposers, for example, fungi and bacteria. You feel in houses when the mouse has been died, we have a bad smell. Something is smelling bad, like I think any animal has been dead in the corner of our house. How detect? How can you detect that smell? That some animals or any small has been died in our corners, like in the Elmira or whatever place, only due to the decomposers, the fungi, smaller fungi or bacteria which are present in the atmosphere. When some animals are dead, the feed upon that dead, they jumped on the dead body and releases some enzymes by which the organic matter present in the body of the dead organism dissolves and they absorb that organic matter. During this process, some foul gases has been also been released into the air, by which we detect that some animals like a rat, like this lizard, wall lizard is died. And how can it possible? With the help of the decomposers. And the mode of nutrition is saprotrophic. Right? Next is holozoic. As we discussed about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, what? That heterotrophic mode of nutrition, the mode of nutrition in which the living organism feed upon another living organism, they cannot make their own food. It is on the mode of nutrition. It is of three types: parasitic, saprotrophic and holozoic. We have already discussed about parasitic. It is of two types, another of two types: ectoparasite, endoparasite. We have discussed about with example. Now saprotrophic, we have discussed about the saprotrophic or decomposers with example. depend upon the feeding habits. Holo means entire. Zoic means animal. Entire animal has been kept in the group of Holozoic. Zoic words come from zoo. Holo, entire animals have been kept in the group of Holozoic because they eat solid food. They eat solid food. You can see snakes engulf a solid entire mouse and another living organism. You see frog, they engulf small insects. Wall lizard, they also engulf the small insects. We also feed, human also feed a solid food like roti, sabji, right? And all that's why they are called Holozoic. Entire animals have been kept in the group of Holozoic. That's why. And that mode of nutrition is different mode of nutrition. It is the feeding habits. On the basis of feeding habits, the Holozoic is further divided into herbivores, a living organism will feed upon green plants directly without cooking. For example, is it necessary? Cow, goat, deer, rabbit, etc. These are some herbivores which directly feed upon the plants without cooking is called herbivores. Another is carnivores. Carnivores, the living organism, the animals which feed upon the flesh of dead animals. After praying it, feed upon the flesh of dead animals after praying. For example, lion, tiger, cheetah, etc. And next one is omnivores, which feed upon both plants and animals. Human, cockroach, crow, and etc. Omnivores, which feed upon another living organism, which feed upon both plants and animals, are called omnivores. Human, cockroach, crow, and these are some examples of omnivores. Carnivores, they feed upon the flesh of dead animals after praying. Lion, tiger, cheetah feed upon green plant directly without cooking, and that cow, goat, deer, rabbit, etc. Right? These are herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Besides this, there are some more types of nutrition which have been kept in the group of Holozoic. We discuss like frugivores, feed upon fruits. Parrot, bat, sanguivores, feed upon the blood, leech, mosquito, feed upon the blood of animal. Fluid feeder, feed upon the nectar of flowers, honeybee and butterfly. Honeybees and butterfly. Detritivores, detritivores, feeds upon the small fragments of decomposed organic matter. For example, earthworm. Detritivores, they feed upon the fragments of small fragments of decomposed organic matter is called termites also. Termites also. These are some mode of nutrition kept in the group of holozoic, like a scavenger also. They feed upon the decaying flesh of dead animals. For example, kite, vulture, scavengers. They feed upon the decaying flesh of dead animals. That is called a scavenger. Example, kite and vulture. These are some holozoic mode of nutrition. Some example, first of all, this group we kept herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, sanguivores, fluid feeder, detritivores, scavengers, frugivores. All are the example of the part of holozoic mode of nutrition. In entire group, you see only animals. Only animals have been kept. That's why we are called entire animal has been kept in the group of holozoic. Means they directly feed upon their another. Okay. These are the some type of holozoic mode of nutrition, heterotrophic. We have already studied about the parasitic, about the saprotrophic, about the holozoic. Holozoic is again divided into herbivores, carnivores, frugivores, detritivores, and all other type. Next is first of all, holozoic mode of nutrition. First question has been asked: describe the mode of nutrition in amoeba. Describe the mode of nutrition holozoid. Amoeba is a unicellular eukaryotic aquatic animal. And the mode of nutrition is holozoid. Right? Now, what happened in mode of nutrition in amoeba? Amoeba is an irregular surface, shape is irregular, and that is nucleus. When any food object like diatoms or any plankton or zooplankton or phytoplankton, any has come near the surface or something, near the cell membrane of amoeba. Amoeba is an animal, then there is no cell wall, only cell membrane. The cell membrane is thin and flexible. That's why amoeba develops its false arm known as pseudopodia and try to capture the food. In next step, it fuses its both arm of pseudopodia. It fuses with each other with both arms of pseudopodia and making a structure known as food vacuole. Food vacuole contains water along with food. Because amoeba is an aquatic animal, it is present in water. When it captures the food with the help of pseudopodia, some water is also enter into this its cytoplasm. And that is food vacuole or phagosome. And it is called phagosome. It is also known as temporary stomach of amoeba. It is also known as temporary stomach of amoeba or food vacuole or phagosome. But there is a little difference between food vacuole and phagosome. There is a little difference between food vacuole and phagosome. We will discuss later on. And later on, we will discuss it later on. First of all, we have an amoeba has ingested the food. It captured the food with the help of pseudopodia and forms a food vacuole or phagosome. Next process is digestion. This is lysosome. Lysosome comes near the food vacuole and they releases enzyme into the food vacuole. Lysosome, because amoeba is a unicellular eukaryotic. Eukaryotic means true nucleus and all types of membrane bounded cell organelles are present. In all membrane bounded cell organelles, there is also a lysosome which contains powerful hydrolytic digestive enzyme. Now, this lysosome comes and contact with food vacuole and releases enzyme for further digestion. A, B, C, digestion takes place in the temporary stomach of amoeba or phagocyte. Next process, after digestion, the digested food which is present in this phagosome, the digested food now diffuse out from this into the cytoplasm. Digested food comes out or diffuse out from this phagosome into the cytoplasm. First of all, ingestion takes place. Second, digestion takes forming of food vacuole. Second, digestion takes place. Then absorption. What happened in absorption? In absorption, during the process of absorption, the food which is digested into the phagosome or food vacuole has been diffused out into the cytoplasm for their utilization. Then absorption and assimilation. What is assimilation? Utilization of digested and absorbed food is called assimilation. Now, remaining undigested waste material. Remaining undigested and waste material, that phagosome comes near the cell membrane, and that amoeba now opens this its cell membrane, and that undigested food has been expelled out. Expelled out, and that process is known as egestion. Then this way nutrition in amoeba takes place. This way nutrition in amoeba takes place. First of all, ingestion takes place. Second, digestion takes place. Third, absorption and assimilation takes place. And fifth, egestion takes place. There are 5 processes which takes place during the holozoic mode of nutrition, and it also takes place in a unicellular eukaryotic amoeba, and that is the mode of nutrition in amoeba. The question has been asked frequently. Describe the mode of nutrition in amoeba with the help of suitable diagram. You have to write about the ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. There are 5 steps which is common in all animals during the holozoic mode of nutrition, and that's why. And this process also takes place in unicellular amoeba, and that the nutrition is finished in the amoeba. Question has been frequently asked. You have seen question from in previous good questions. You see that if the question has been frequently asked, like describe the nutrition in amoeba with the help of suitable diagram. Right? Next is digestion in human. The next is digestion in human. In the holozoic, there are 5 steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. All 5 processes takes place in entire animals which have been and kept in the group of holozoic mode of nutrition. The five all process takes place. It doesn't matter whether it is any unicellular or multicellular organism. Next is digestion in human. What do you mean by digestion? What do you mean by the term digestion? The process by which all organic food material converted into its simpler and absorbable form with the help of digestive enzyme is called digestion. The process by which all organisms convert organic food material is converted into its simpler and absorbable form with the help of digestive enzyme is called digestion.